Which is the wealthiest country in Africa in 2023? Africa is one of the world's most diverse continents. As you are all aware, Africa is home to some of the world's wealthiest countries. The continent is endowed with natural resources and has a large population, resulting in a high GDP per capita. Despite this wealth, many countries are still impoverished. The International Monetary Fund, the IMF, data is used to calculate GDP per capita. This information should give you a good idea of the relative economic stability and wealth of these countries. Welcome back, guys. Hope you're all doing well. Today we will discuss top 10 wealthiest countries in Africa. Before we start, make sure you hit that subscribe button with notifications turned on to get notified when we update videos like this one. So let's get into the countdown. Number 10. Namibia. Namibia is one of Africa's richest countries with about 9,730 GDP per capita. Namibia's economy is primarily based on mining, agriculture, manufacturing, and tourism, which account for more than half of the country's GDP. Mining accounts for approximately 30% of GDP, while agriculture accounts for approximately 12%. Namibian agriculture is primarily concerned with production of beef, lamb, and mutton, as well as dairy products, tobacco, and barley. Namibia's economy is stable, with a steady growth rate of more than 4%, contributing to the country's high GDP per capita. Number 9. Tunisia. Despite its small population of about 12 million people, Tunisia has a $10,590 GDP per capita with a significant influence on African affairs. It has one of the most valuable currencies in Africa. Clothing and textiles, chemicals, semi-finished goods, electrical equipment, and transportation equipment are the most common Tunisian exports. The aridity of the Sahara Desert limits Tunisia's land resources. Tunisia, on the other hand, has human resource potential, making it appealing to foreign investors such as Germany and Italy. Tunisia's economy is primarily based on tourism, manufacturing, and mining, which account for approximately 15% of GDP. Tunisia's economy has thrived because of its economic policies, which have effectively created a stable financial environment that encourages foreign investment. Tunisia relied less on foreign aid in 2014, reducing it to $183 million from nearly $700 million in previous years. Number 8. Algeria. Algeria is one of the wealthiest countries in Africa with a GDP per capita of $11,430. Algeria is a large country in northwest Africa bordered by 6 other countries and the disputed territory of Western Sahara. With a population of around 44 million, it is the continent's largest and 9th most populous country. Despite its relatively small population of about 44.9 million people, Algeria has a significant influence in African affairs. Ranking 34th, Algeria's economy is primarily based on hydrocarbons and manufacturing, which account for roughly 60% of GDP. Hydrocarbons account for over 95% of exports and 75% of government revenue. In 2014, manufacturing contributed less than 1/3 of the GDP and employed approximately 16% of the workforce. Number 7. South Africa. South Africa's economy is based primarily on transportation equipment, processed minerals, chemicals, textiles, and food products, which account for roughly half of the country's GDP, which is about GDP per capita is $12,444. The industrial sector accounts for more than 35% of GDP, and minerals, primarily gold, diamonds, and coal, account for 90% of exports. The country has a lot of resources, such as iron ore and chrome, making it one of the wealthiest countries in Africa. These resources, however, have not been used efficiently and the economy remains in flux. Nonetheless, the economy is doing well with an annual GDP growth rate of 3%, which is among the highest in Africa. Agriculture accounts for approximately 7% of GDP and employed 22.8% of the workforce in 2014. South African mines produce a wide range of minerals, including gold, diamonds, coal, vanadium, manganese, iron ore, copper, and tin, which account for more than half of South Africa's exports and 4% of global mineral and metal trade. However, the South African economy faces significant challenges, including rapid population growth, increased poverty, and unemployment. Number 6. Egypt. Egypt is a North African country bounded to the north by the Mediterranean Sea, to the northeast by Israel and Gaza Strip, to the east of the Gulf of Aqaba, to the south of Sudan, and to the west of Libya. It has a strong African currency and is one of Africa's top 10 richest countries per capita. It has a $13,080 GDP per capita. Egypt has a long history dating back thousands of years. As a result, it is widely regarded as the foundation of human civilization, and Egyptians have risen to become one of Africa's top 5 most populous countries. Egypt's economy is based primarily on agriculture, media production, construction, tourism, and transportation. Agriculture employs approximately 50% of Egyptians. However, the agricultural sector accounts for only 23% of the country's GDP. Agriculture contributes only 16% of GDP and employs 25% of the labor force. Number 5. Madagascar. Madagascar is an island country in the Indian Ocean off the coast of East Africa. One of Africa's poorest countries and one of the top 10 richest per capita in the continent, with a per capita GDP of $13,720 with a population of 28.7 million. Madagascar's economy is primarily based on agriculture, which accounts for approximately 40% of the country's GDP. It is one of the world's most biodiverse countries, with over 5,000 plant species, 89 types of primates, 350 bird species, and 60 mammal species found nowhere else. However, foreign countries are exploiting many of Madagascar's natural resources without the benefit of revenue sharing or royalties. Number 4. Gabon. Gabon's GDP per capita is $16,240. The population is 2.3 million people. Gabon is located in Central Africa on the west coast of the continent, bordered by the Equatorial Geneva, Cameroon, the Republic of Congo, and the Gulf of Geneva. It is one of the top 10 richest countries in Africa in terms of per capita income. Gabon is one of Africa's wealthiest countries due to its abundant natural resources, which include oil, timber, manganese mining, and uranium ore. Gabon, on the other hand, is experiencing a severe economic crisis, which has resulted in the country's oil production being cut in half. Gabon's GDP growth rate is low, and inflation is high. It is currently minus 2.7%. Number 3. Botswana. The GDP per capita is $18,110. Botswana is a country in southern Africa that is landlocked. It is one of the continent's wealthiest countries in terms of per capita income. Botswana's economy has always been based on animal husbandry, and it has undergone several changes over the years. Botswana's economy has benefited greatly from diamond and beef exports. Botswana is one of Africa's largest diamond producers, with the third largest dollar value share among African nations after South Africa and Angola. Diamonds account for approximately half of the country's exports. Mining accounts for approximately 12% of GDP, with diamonds accounting for 80%. In Botswana, 1 out of every 4 households has at least one diamond ring, earring, or pendant. However, the diamond market has become saturated in the last decade, resulting in a severe economic downturn and political turmoil. However, in recent years, mining companies have begun to diversify into other areas, such as copper and nickel, to help support the economy. Number 2. The Republic of Mauritius. The GDP of Mauritius is a $22,030 with a population of 1.3 million. Mauritius is an island nation in the Indian Ocean off the coast of Africa. It is one of Africa's poorest countries in terms of GDP per capita. Mauritius' economy was built on sugarcane plantations, but it has since diversified into textiles, tourism, and banking. Other African countries, France and the United Kingdom, account for 80% of its visitors. The government is increasing public debt in order to compete with its neighbor, South Africa's economic powerhouse. Mauritius also has a free port regime, which means that there are no taxes or tariffs on Mauritius-produced goods destined for export. Mauritius' main exports are clothing, sugar, and guar gum. Number 1. Seychelles. Seychelles' GDP per capita is $26,120 with a population of only 99,045 people. Seychelles is a small Indian Ocean island located off the coast of East Africa. It has the highest currency in Africa and is one of the top 10 richest countries per capita. Seychelles has an impressive GDP per capita, owing primarily to its thriving tourist industry, which contributes significantly to the country's GDP. Tourism accounts for approximately 40% of the national GDP and approximately 70% of foreign currency earnings. Fishing has historically been the backbone of the economy, with tuna being the primary catch. However, Seychelles has expanded its tourism sector in recent years by expanding accommodation and facilities on the island. These African countries should use their natural resources to boost their economies and create a more stable economy to support their people. Only then can these 10 richest African countries per capita provide a stable and reliable source of income for their citizens. That's all for today. We hope you liked this video. Let us know in the comments, from which country do you belong and what is the rank of your country in the continent? See you in the next video. Please subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to get new updates.